Welcome back to Answer the Call podcast, where we help Christians faithfully discern their calling and land a job that's aligned with it. Today's episode is such a meaningful one because it really speaks to anyone who has experienced the situation of having plans, then those plans being disrupted. So that's one way to say that this podcast episode probably speaks to everyone. Our guest today, Cristy, spent years building towards a career that I think many would describe as secure, prestigious, definitely worth sacrificing for. And after investing nearly a decade of graduate education, and lots of other things, lots of sacrifices in there, there was this clear destination that ended up not working out. The path ended unexpectedly. Sorry, I don't know why I'm being so dramatic about that, but what was on the other side of it is something that she could have never actually defined for herself. And we're going to get into what that entire story looked like. Thank you for being here for my dramatic introduction, Cristy. I hope that painted the picture all right. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Audrey.
Good. I'm so glad to get into it. Can you share, since I gave the dramatic intro, can you share where you were before and what role you're stepping into now, or at least in a few months?
Sure. So currently I am an assistant professor of mathematics at a small liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. And that role is ending, and I'm going to be stepping into a math teacher position at an independent school. So 8th grade through 12th grade.
Wow. And I already can hear the people. Actually, we've had a couple stories recently where I anticipate people kind of hearing the path and thinking, is that really so different? Y'all, we're going to get into it because it's been such an interesting journey to get here. But let's start from the beginning. You had built your life, truly, because it's a life kind of role, your life around academia. Can you tell us what it felt like when you learned that your position was going to be eliminated?
Yeah. I don't know. I had a few different feelings. The semester that I learned that I was losing my job due to enrollment problems, I was 2 semesters out from maternity leave, so I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the transition. So part of me was like, oh, there's an out. But then another huge part of me was like, what in the world? Like, I've built my life around this. I've chosen to go in a direction that I could quickly like put down roots and invest in a single community. And I don't feel well prepared to stay in academia, and I don't think I want to do that. So I was just really confused, basically.
Yeah, confused is I think a good way to put it. And what did it feel like, because you were working towards that tenure, which I never know how to say that word. Actually, when I first went to college and learned what that was, I thought they were saying 10-year.
Oh,
I called it that
yeah.
for the longest time, but tenure. How did it feel when you realized, in addition to the confusion, you realized that something that was supposed to be secure, that's kind of how it's sold, right? It's secure, the secure path, and suddenly it's totally out of your control.
Yeah, it was really frustrating because like I was doing my part of the bargain. Like there's always some unknowns when you want to earn tenure, like am I going to be able to produce research? But like I had checked that box. So it was pretty surprising and frustrating and honestly like unknown. Like no one else has lost a position in exactly the same way at my institution before. Yeah.
I didn't realize that. Ooh, yeah. I imagine I also was on the journey with you, so a lot of grief that came up there as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that's universal across many industries, especially in today's market. There just seems to, in prior generations, to have been a lot more stability in roles, and people are dealing with that expectation and then dealing with the reality now of who is stability? I don't know her.
Absolutely. To think of like my dad still works at the same place that he got a job out of college and how unusual that is for people in our generation.
Hmm. Absolutely. And something that you shared that stuck with me was that in this role in academia, you really started to tie your hope to these future milestones of like the end of the semester or graduation or working, getting that tenure, that trap that we all fall into of like, once I get this, then I'll finally be safe or good or happy or whatever. When
Yeah.
did you realize that that mindset was exhausting you?
Oh gosh. Um, I mean, I probably even knew it as I was swimming in it,
Hmm.
honestly, right? But it definitely became clear when like the goalpost wasn't even moved. It was just like, knocked down and removed. And I think another thing is when you have kids, each stage is so fleeting that like if I just decide to put my head down and like I'll really enjoy like my kid and who they are like after the semester is over, like they're a whole new version of themselves by the time the semester is over. So if I don't take the time to know them now today, like I'm totally gonna miss out.
Yeah. Yeah. And you, even before this opportunity to continue down your current path was taken away, right? You had already started to feel misaligned kind of beneath the
Yeah.
surface. So, what, I guess, how did you start to realize that? What did that feel like? And how did that contribute to these ideas of, oh, a change is coming?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's two sides of it, right? Like anytime you start a new job, it's like pretty difficult for the first few years. I think, at least in teaching, they're like, you don't really have your feet under you until you've been doing it for like, 5 years or something like that. So I think that was part of it. But then the other was just, I think I'd been told there was this wonderful work-life balance in academia from different people along the way. And maybe that can be true if you choose that for yourself, and especially like later once you have built up some kind of reputation. But when I never arrived there, and like you're trying to achieve and raise your kids at the same time, and it's just really tiring, and like the grind of keeping a little baby alive and not really sleeping at night, and then going in and trying to have a clear head so you can like live help students see the mistakes in their proofs. Like that's really hard to do. um
Yeah.
yeah, so I was wondering like, is there a better fit where I can be like the mom I want to be and still use my brain in a way that gives me an outlet, I guess, besides academia.
Yeah. Yeah. Because what you're describing is, in addition to maybe some values misalignment, it's actually a lifestyle misalignment.
Yeah, or like a life stage misalignment.
That's a good way to put it. And I think that's important to highlight because I we can easily get caught up in the, oh well, my job and my lifestyle don't align, so I need to force my lifestyle to fit into the box of this job.
Yeah.
When did you start to realize that maybe that's not the case? Maybe there is a job that actually better suits my lifestyle.
um I couldn't really like put my finger on what that would be. I think until like we started looking through the clarity process,
Hmm.
you know, and just like exploring what options out there might there be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Because you were definitely starting from this place of, I have no idea. I know the one thing I don't want to do is teach, which is hilarious.
Yep.
We'll get there of how you came around to that um eventually. But in the beginning it was okay, I just need to explore a bunch of different things that I've had interest in. What how did trying those different options help you more than just kind of sitting and overthinking everything?
Mm. Well, like for me, like I would have no idea what a day to day would look like, or even like what would it take to tool up those skills and that interest for different career paths. Because I've been so sequestered in academia for so long that I really just had to like explore and try new things. And like I didn't even have a LinkedIn account before this, right? Because like no one in grad school is like, oh, you need a LinkedIn account because like
Mm-hmm.
that's not really how a lot of connections are made in academia. So just like spending time looking at what people say is valuable and what different like founders are thinking about, and I just had to spend some time learning a little bit about that ecosystem to even make a slightly informed decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to name some of the paths that you were looking into, you were looking into counseling, ed tech, tutoring, lots of things. So, and you've said it yourself that clarity came through exploration and the Lord. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, the whole time I was like, I don't know what I should be doing, and if it's not this, I want to do something that's clearly um, the Lord's will. And but I needed like time and space to explore that and feel that I was like in a space where I knew that I was seeking the Lord and that He would have the room to guide my steps. And that took time, sweet time, that I'm very grateful, so grateful to have walked through that with the Lord. And coming out on this other side, it's like, all right, the next step might be wonderful. There's going to be some hard parts about the new job too, right? But at least I can look back with confidence and know, like, yes, the Lord has brought me here. And so, even in the hard moments, I don't have to be like, I made a mistake, right? Because, like, I know He was directing my steps and it's clear.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. Also, I just want to acknowledge there is construction going on right outside my window. So if you hear that, my apologies. And listener, if you hear that, my apologies. But I don't want to stray from that point that you just shared. What did you learn about the Lord through this process?
Mm, I've definitely learned that He is so good and that He cares more about who I am than what I do. And that's freeing. And like the person that I
Yeah.
am, which is to be more like Jesus, not like the best version of myself, but more like Jesus. But he still provides like direction and space for me to live in a way that can contribute to his kingdom. And how amazing is that we even get to play a role in that. Um, that's so special.
Yeah. And everything you just said, I could put that on a billboard, I could put that on handouts, give them out to people, but you really do need to go through the process of learning that to like deeply imprint it on your soul. So, how, if I may say, we had a lot of ups and downs in this process together.
I know you were there with me the whole way. I'm so grateful.
And I'm so grateful how honestly you showed up of like with fear and doubt and confusion, what you had named before, grief. And I think that honesty, the way you showed up so honestly, allowed you to actually move through it.
Yeah.
What what question do I want to ask here? Have you ever did you ever expect a career change to go like that?
No. But I needed it. I really needed that time and that space to verbalize it and deal with it to move on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Grieve. It's not that you were grieving a past career, you were grieving the future expectations.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
So it was pretty late into our time working together that you actually, I mean, you brought it up, I think. It's a little blurry in my memory. You're like, I think I might look into teaching. Oh, how did you get there? Okay, because we started like, no, teaching's not it. I don't want to do high school, whatever. What happened? What changed?
Um, well, I think there are two things. Um, One was I had to deal with some of that grief and feeling burned, a little bit from the whole education system. So working through that was helpful. There was the logistics side of I don't see the value in moving my family to another academic institution to continue teaching when a lot of the places that I would be interested in teaching at are not research powerhouses or Ivy League schools, right? I probably wouldn't be competitive at those anyway. Um, so they're small and they're on a shoestring budget, and the same thing could happen again. So that seemed like a dumb idea. Um, and my family had already my husband had already moved plenty, and now we're back close to extended family. So that was another clear I don't want to teach in that way. But it's not so easy to just switch to high school because if you're in the public school or a lot of private schools, they want a teaching certificate, which requires student teaching and lots of money and time. So it wasn't really clear how to do that. But then I was also there's got to be something better for me, I could get a job at a fancy technology company and just work with adults and think about the math and not the students, you know, um, or work with teachers. And as I was exploring the tech ed space, I was just I don't think this aligns with my values because what I think makes a good math teacher doesn't really rely on streamlined tech platforms. It's being day in and day out with the students and getting them to do hard things and knowing them and cheering them on. Um, and so I felt like the things I value most are not aligned with most educational industry. I
Mhm.
was but I still love this. I'm not ready to walk away and do something totally different. So I was okay. And so the genesis of this was I've always been interested in moving back to Boston area. We have a great church community there, and that's where I did my grad school. And there was a job posting at a private high school that the pay scale actually was big enough that I could see getting that job at the top of the pay scale, and it would be a living wage to move back there. And so then I just was like, I'm gonna apply for this job, and dove in and like spent a lot of time looking at that school's website and being like, oh, like at least their stated goals really align with what I think about teaching and like being relational and personal and still rigorous and getting kids to really engage. And I think that was one of the first times like I had seen like an actual example of a school that would align with what I already do and with my values and my hopes. And I was like, oh, this could be the right fit. Oh,
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you put it that way because what I'm hearing in that part of this story is really the Lord's provision. And it's not that the Lord provided a way for you to move your family back to Boston or provided I guess maybe it was there, but it wasn't the right decision. But He provided the evidence that you needed to be able to see the opportunity around you.
yes.
That And that was driven by a desire that was ultimately in this season of life not met. That desire being moving back to Boston. You're you're going to stay locally. I don't know if we've said that on this podcast, but that desire drove you to a place that would then meet these other desires that were actually more important to you in the long run, being staying where you are now. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah. To me, yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully to somebody out there. And I hadn't thought about it that way, where it feels so linear sometimes. I want this, I either got it or I didn't get it. When
Yeah.
really what your story is proving right now is you wanted to move back to Boston, which led you to discovering this private high school world. And then
Mm-hmm.
you could apply that knowledge to a situation that actually works for your family.
Yes. Absolutely.
Very cool. So I'm trying to answer the question that I asked you, which was what changed? And it sounds like what changed, you didn't want to teach and now you do want to teach. What changed was looking at it more holistically and really just following desires and following God's direction at the same time. Is that a good way to
Yeah.
put it?
Yeah. Like being active and open at
Mhm.
the same time.
Yeah, and also something you said that I really wanted to highlight because I see it a lot is you felt burned by this role that you were in or this environment that you were in, which made you want to reject anything close to it.
Yes.
Let's do a full pivot.
Yep.
And by the end of it, there was some healing that happened there, sounds like, that allowed you to actually see, oh no, an adjacent path is a really, really good option here because of my values, because of how I'm designed and what I like to do and all of those things. What were some of the most important pieces in that heart change, if you will? Like not making a decision based on being burned and actually making a more grounded decision.
Yeah. I think part of that was just like trusting in the Lord's goodness and like knowing it and experiencing it because that could help me accept a little bit more of like the path that I went through, and just like trust that he's good and he's got to figure it out.
Mm.
Um, that's a part of it. And I don't think I had really taken the time to think so carefully about what energizes me and what I really strongly believe is true before, at least for like, hadn't done that for like 7 years or something. So to have someone like you hold me accountable to really say you need to spend the time to do this and I'm your thinking partner here and here are these exercises to do was really important. And it wasn't like the magic bullet. I wasn't in like on July 1st of whenever, like I know exactly what I need to do. Like it took a long time to percolate, but like we can keep, I could keep going back and like revising that process and thinking through what really does matter to me, which led me back to teaching.
Mm.
I think it's interesting because in some ways I felt like I fell into teaching and then I was like, well, not in high school, so I'm gonna go to grad school so I can do it at the college level. And but that could have still felt, maybe at times it did feel to me like a random decision. Like I don't know what else to do, so I'm gonna do this. And this time I really took the time to take a close look at what was around me and actively choose to teach.
Mm.
And that was really
Mhm.
empowering.
Yeah, that was empowering. Yeah, and what I heard you say also, so it took trust in the Lord that He's got it all figured out and what
Yeah,
He's doing is good.
yeah,
It also took time. It just took time, intentional time, but wisdom and discernment, I won't say always, but I'll say a lot of the time, it takes time. Right. And of course, the Lord can make things clear in an instant on July 1st, of 2025. You can hop on a call, whatever. That's awesome. But He wants to see us through that journey and see our hearts change. And we are stubborn beings over here and without even knowing it, right? So a lot of time it just takes that time. And then also what I said earlier in the podcast, which was the honesty of just honestly showing up and being like, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to look like. This seems like a cool path, but then I also hate it because of this. So important. So ultimately, your heart softened towards this teaching role in like this specific kind of environment. What happened once you became open to that? And if you don't say it, I'm going to say it.
it was pretty crazy. So I applied to this fancy school in the Boston area, and you can tell that like some healing has happened because I reached out to the administrator that's responsible for ending my position because she
Mm.
lives now in that area and had before, and I just remembered it and I couldn't get it out of my head. And so I emailed her to be like, do you have a connection you could make for me at this
Wow.
school? And I figured like she would never see it, like she's retired, or be like, oh, I don't want to talk to that person. This is awkward. I'll just pretend it's not there. And that is not what happened at all. She emailed me back like 15 minutes later and was like, you need to use this staffing agency. But she was apologizing. She was like, I'm sure you know all about this world already, but like, I don't know anyone at this school right now, but I was a dean at a similar school down the road, and um, I'm happy to help out in any way and tell you anything you need to know. And of course, you're using the staffing agency because everyone uses this particular staffing agency. And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Can we have a phone call? And so we talked for like a half an hour later that day. And
Yeah.
she was like, here's how you're gonna pitch yourself because these are like the things that those schools are most worried about when they look at a candidate from a university. And like, these are things you need to think about um, as you apply to these schools through this agency.
Mm.
And that changed everything.
Yeah. It's such a beautiful example of humility and just uh, sharing that you need help, reaching out to somebody, giving somebody the opportunity to help you. So often we just close off any opportunity somebody can have to us or have to help us.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, hey, girl, I'm just going to ask you this question, see where it goes. And it ended up leading you to more than one amazing opportunity because you were well equipped to handle this world now and you started digging in. Can I say that the opportunities came flying in? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, they did.
We were, you would send me updates and I was like, what? Another, she's flying out here, she's flying here. Like, what? What did that feel like after a long time, a long time of sitting in this grief and this pain and confusion? What did it feel like to have all these opportunities then making their way to you?
It it was incredible because
Hmm.
it just, you know, there are different reasons I did not feel valuable, and I looked at my own skills and I was like, who would want to hire me? This is a weird hodgepodge of like experiences if I'm not going to stay in academia. Um and and so it was just a beautiful moment to like hear from different schools who were very attracted to what I had spent my time on over the last few years and built my passions around. And yeah, it was incredible to be like, oh, we want to compete with that other school's offer. So, like, let's schedule an interview like next week, you know? That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and fly you out there. Like it was just incredible to see such a mountaintop moment after really being in the
Yeah.
valley and just not knowing what to do. And it was really, of course, that change had to happen over time, but it feels sometimes like that final just switch flips
Yeah.
and opportunity comes flooding in, which was amazing to witness and also put you in this position of ultimately having to make a decision. Two
Mhm.
offers that you were highly, your two offers that you, what am I trying to say? Two very good offers. One, if it's okay to say, was back in Boston.
Yep.
The dream, like it fit all of those desires.
Mhm.
And then one was locally.
Yep.
What where was your brain at when you had both of these decisions or both of these offers and you had to make a decision?
It was really stressful. I like if you had told me like 6 months ago you're gonna have two offers and it's actually gonna be really hard, I would have been like, that's stupid. Like I have no offers right now. Why would that be difficult? Um,
People always hesitate bringing that problem up on the group coaching calls.
yeah.
Like, I don't want to complain about having two offers.
But it's just like heavy. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same, but like it just reminded me of like the sacred weightiness of like getting married and being like, wow, this decision is forever. And this one is not like it is not on the same level, but like it just like reminded me a little bit of that. And but I'm like I'm so glad that I had the time to feel secure in my relationship with the Lord because then I even though like my body was stressed out, like my spirit didn't have to be
Wow.
because, I was resting in the fact that the Lord will make it clear. And he did. Yeah, he
How did he
flew
make
me to Boston so I could go to a prayer night with my old church and get immense peace that
it?
actually Boston was not the right choice, but being local was so I could be, more present for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is such a win for the kingdom. Not that moving to your dream city and your community is bad at all. You were facing two good options, and
Yeah.
that's one of the hardest places, can be one of the hardest places to be. But there is, I haven't fact checked this myself, but I heard it on a different podcast. Um, a Mother Teresa quote that goes something along the lines of if you want to change the world, start by loving your family.
Mm,
And in today's world, it's so success driven, like worldly success driven, career driven, move your family, do this, which of course the Lord will make things good and think it sometimes it makes sense to move your family.
hmm.
But it is a beautiful decision to make to keep your family rooted, grounded, pour into them, make a career decision that supports your family rather than uproots them. I think that is amazing, and the Lord really, really blesses like the personal sacrifice that comes with that. I just think that's awesome. So thanks for
Yeah.
modeling that.
Yeah. And like, I really didn't feel we talked about this on some of our calls, like a piece about the local job at first. Do you remember that? I was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Ugh." But
Yeah.
you also gave me the space to be like logically, I don't know where this is coming from, and it could just be like some selfish desires or in my heart, which probably it was, and then like, but like in His timing, like the Lord brought peace about that
Yeah.
and made it just clear to me through like prayers of other people and just like in the crazy timeline that was like felt very compressed. There was time to like get away and just like clear my head and have some peaceful time alone with the Lord too. And that
Mm.
was really hopeful.
Yeah. If you ask the Lord to purify your intentions, He will. He
Mm-hmm.
certainly will. And again, I won't speak in absolutes, but I have commonly found that process to be painful.
Mm-hmm.
and but it's so good. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So what as you're looking forward to this next season, what feels most life-giving about it?
Hmm. Well, I was not sure what the summer was going to look like for a long time. Like, would we be packing up our life? What would I be putting applications in at Starbucks and Target? Like, what in the world was going to happen? And I'm looking forward to a summer of some real rest and connection with my kids. Um, I'm very happy that I get to plant my garden now in my backyard, you know, rather than packing up boxes. Um, and I'm honestly looking forward to teaching in this different space. Um, it's going to be a change, which like always brings its own challenges, but um, I'm really looking forward to building relationships with my new coworkers and students. And at least the ones that I've met, I could see their like engagement and their curiosity and their desire to learn. Um, and that's actually kind of different from at least the most recent classes I've been teaching this year. And so I am really looking forward to being with students that want to know more, and are open to at least considering like the beauty that mathematics offers us.
Hmm. Routine or change is hard. Change can be scary, but disruption to our lives like breaks us out of boxes that allows us to really see the Lord in whole new
Yeah.
ways and lean on Him and depend on Him. So, kind of rounding it out, I think I have two more questions for you. Starting to round it out, referencing back a question that we talked about earlier, how would you say, what does it look like now to place hope in God instead of career outcomes?
Mm. Yeah, like that whole roadmap is kind of gone now. Um, and that's freeing, right? Because now I can be more present for like today. Um, and more, I can see more of like today's goodness and not like next month's rest. And I can lean into like, wow, I get to spend time with the Lord today. And for, for all those people doing the Bible recap plan, like He's where the joy is. And I've really seen that like over and over in the last year where like it was hard and I didn't know what was next. But like at that moment, I couldn't even see like a foot down the path at that time, but I could still have joy in the Lord, and how He was going to work. And now that I can see a little farther down the path, that truth is still there. And real joy is found in knowing and enjoying God today.
Oh, I have nothing to say to that. That's beautiful. So what would you say, and maybe it's, copy and paste the answer you just gave, but what would you say to the listener whose secure plan just fell apart?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds cliche, but it's not. Like the Lord has you in His hand. So just like press into that. And think about working with Kelsey and Audrey because
Come on over.
yeah, it was really, you both were really like, I needed a team, it would have been really difficult to thrive by myself, maybe impossible, or made for community. And so working with you was such a privilege, and meeting other people, working through it was really helpful to see, like, they were really struggling, like I saw it last month, and like now they've had a breakthrough, so like my breakthrough is coming.
Yes. Oh, wow. Well, it was an absolute privilege to be with you on this journey. I just want people to take from that, like, get into community, talk to people about your secure plan falling apart. Don't isolate. Definitely spend time with the Lord, but don't isolate from community. It's so important to lean on people.
Definitely.
It's been, like I said, privilege and absolute pleasure to be on this journey with you. I'm so excited to continue celebrating this new path that is forming in front of you. And thank you for taking the time to come on the podcast and share your story with us, Cristy.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. To get an even more meaningful head start into your calling, head to thecalledcareer.com, where my fellow career coach Audrey and I have created a whole suite of free resources and tools to help you get clear and get a job today. For those who are definitely ready to land a job or start a business in the next 6 to 12 months, we're here to help you biblically and practically discern your calling through coaching, reflection, and deep market research. Identify the job that's aligned with it, even if you currently have no idea what you want. Rebrand your resume and LinkedIn to translate your background to appeal to your future boss. P.S. We take this off your plate and do this for you. Also, we'll teach you how to land referrals and get attention from leadership through networking. Again, if that makes you nervous, we have these emails and LinkedIn messages literally written for you so you don't have to sweat. We're also here to give you unlimited interview practice so you're prepared to address every elephant in the room and knock selling yourself out of the park. Then we'll round out with helping you negotiate your salary so you land thousands more. Just so you know, recent clients have gotten $8,000 to $50,000 salary increases, even though they were totally non-traditional candidates. That's because we specialize in helping non-traditional career pivoters land jobs they're ecstatic to serve in. It takes work, but we're here to see you through until the end, when we're celebrating that day that you send me an email in all caps and you say, Kelsey, I got the job. Then you could be on the podcast. But I'll be here until then, keeping you accountable and encouraged by meeting with you literally until you land the job you want, even if that's up to 6 months from now within our program. Apply to join at thecalledcareer.com, and I'll see you next week here at Answer the Call. Bye for now.